All right, let's dive in. Today we are tackling the final, and I'd argue the most important phase of any improvement project, the control phase. This is where we make sure all our hard work actually sticks.
Picture this. You've just finished a huge project. The results are incredible, the team's celebrating, everything's looking up. But you check back in 6 months, and it's like nothing ever happened. All those amazing improvements, poof, they're gone. How does this keep happening?
Okay, here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to talk about that exact issue, the fading fix problem. Then, we'll get into the solution, the control phase itself. After that, we'll look at the key tools you need to make improvements last, see it all come together in a real-world example, and finally, we'll wrap up with a solid checklist for making improvement permanent. So first up, let's put a name to this enemy of progress. We're calling it the fading fix problem. We're going to dig into exactly why those awesome project results have such a nasty habit of just vanishing.
You know, there's a name for this. It's called backsliding. The team makes these incredible gains, everybody high-fives, and then they move on to the next big thing. But the old ways of doing things, the old habits, they're still lurking. And slowly but surely, they creep back in, undoing all that great work. Honestly, this is the single biggest threat to any DMAIC project, period.
So how do we stop this from happening? Well, that brings us right to our hero today, the control phase. It is designed for one single purpose, to lock in your hard-won gains for good. The control phase is that final C in DMAIC. You know, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Its entire job is to make sure your improvements stick around. And it does that by standardizing the new, better way of doing things, and then keeping a close eye on performance so we don't slip back into those old, inefficient habits.
Now, here's probably the best way to think about it. If the improve phase is like the surgery that cures a disease, the control phase is the long-term medication, the diet, the physical therapy. It's everything you do to make sure that disease never ever comes back.
Okay, so let's get practical. How do we actually do this? Well, this next section is all about your toolkit, your arsenal for making change permanent. And the cornerstone, the absolute foundation of this whole phase, is the control plan. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a formal, detailed document. Think of it as the blueprint that lays out exactly how we're going to maintain the new process, who is responsible for watching it, and what to do the second things start to go off track. Let's make this real. So for a hospital, right, a key metric might be ER wait time. The goal, the acceptable range, is 30 minutes or less. Who's watching it? The nursing supervisor. How often? Daily. And what's the escalation plan? If it goes over 45 minutes, an alert goes out. Same thing for logistics or manufacturing. You see the pattern? You've got a metric, a target, an owner, a schedule, and a what-if plan.
I absolutely love this analogy. A control plan is like a recipe card. It's written so clearly that anyone, and I mean anyone, whether they were on the project or not, can walk in, follow the steps, and get that same successful result every single time.
Okay, so how do we do that monitoring in real time? The go-to tool for this is the Statistical Process Control Chart, or SPC chart. Now, don't let the name scare you. Just think of it as a line chart on steroids. It's got these statistically calculated upper and lower limits that show you the natural, healthy range of variation for your process. Now, there are a few different types, but they all do the same basic job. You've got an X-bar and R chart for things you measure, like length or time. You've got a P chart that tracks percentages, like the percent of late flights. And you've got a C chart that just counts defects, like the number of scratches on a car door.
An SPC chart is basically the dashboard for your process. It's just like the dashboard in your car. It gives you this constant visual signal. It tells you not just how fast you're going right now, but it shows you the red line, the safe operating range, and it alerts you the instant you start to drift out of it. Now, two other tools work perfectly with this, SOPs and audits. Your standard operating procedures, or SOPs, are the detailed how-to guides. They make sure everyone is doing the task the new, better way. And then audits, they're the verification. They're the periodic check-in to make sure people are actually following the new SOPs. And finally, we have the formal handoff. This is so critical. Think of it like a relay race. The project team just ran a fantastic leg of the race. But now they have to pass that baton of ownership securely to the person who runs the process day in and day out. If you drop the baton here, the entire race was for nothing.
Okay, enough with the theory and the tools. Let's see how this all comes together in a real-world situation. We're going to look at a case study in airline performance.
So here's the problem. A major airline was just stuck. Their on-time departure rate was a dismal 60%. And when they dug in, they found the main culprit. Their crew scheduling process was just chaotic and super inefficient.
So after they rolled out a brand new, improved scheduling system, they moved straight into the control phase. And look, here are all the tools we just talked about. They created a control plan for daily monitoring. They wrote a new standardized SOP for every single scheduler. They put a P-chart up to track performance. They scheduled monthly audits. And they even put up a live visual dashboard in the operations center so everybody knew the score.
And the result? Their on-time performance shot up from 60% to 92%. But here's the real magic. They sustained it. That number held steady for more than 18 months. We're talking millions in savings and way happier customers. That is the power of a proper control phase.
That's the goal, right? So let's wrap this all up with your final checklist so you can make your own improvements just as permanent. Here it is, your 6 steps to success. 1. Develop that mission-critical control plan. 2. Update all your SOPs and your documentation. 3. Train every single person on the new process. 4. Get those real-time SPC charts and dashboards up and running. 5. Schedule your regular audits and make it crystal clear who owns what. And finally, number 6, formally close out the project with a clean, crisp handoff.
And as you're going through those steps, please watch out for these common traps. The number one mistake is not assigning clear ownership. If nobody owns it, it won't get done. Another classic is writing these beautiful SOPs that just sit on a shelf and collect dust. And a cardinal sin is collecting all this great data with your charts, but then never actually acting on the signals they're giving you. And finally, whatever you do not treat the control phase as some boring afterthought. It's the critical step that protects your entire investment.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time you finish a project, ask yourself, is it truly finished with a rock-solid control plan in place? Or is it just waiting for those old habits to creep back in, just waiting to fail? The choice, and now the tools, are yours.